Imagine reaching into your pocket, absent-mindedly fishing out a handful of pennies, and glancing at them without a thought. They clink in your palm, coppery, common, forgettable. But what if I told you one of those little coins, like a 1997 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, could actually be worth thousands of dollars? That the tiniest flaw, invisible at first glance, could transform it from spare change into a collector's treasure? Tonight, we uncover the surprising value and hidden history behind these seemingly ordinary Lincoln cents, and why you might want to check your own coin jars before dismissing them as worthless. Because sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest stories. The Lincoln wheat penny has been part of American life for over a century, first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. At the time, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than allegorical figures, and it quickly became a beloved fixture in everyday commerce. The design was simple but powerful. Lincoln's stoic profile on the obverse, and a pair of wheat stalks on the reverse framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. For decades, these little copper discs passed through millions of hands, buying candy, paying bus fares, being tucked into piggy banks by wide-eyed children saving for their dreams. But not all Lincoln pennies are created equal. Some carry with them quirks of fate, minting errors, unusual planchets, or transitional anomalies that elevate their worth beyond imagination. Take the 1997 Lincoln wheat penny, for example, a coin that shouldn't even exist in that form. The Denver Mint was still producing Lincoln Memorial cents in 1997, with a wheat reverse long retired since 1958. Yet a tiny handful of 1997 wheat pennies have surfaced over the years, bearing the reverse that belonged to an earlier era. How is this possible? The answer lies in the mysterious world of die mix-ups and transitional errors. Moments when outdated dies were mistakenly paired with new planchets and struck before anyone at the mint realized the mistake. For collectors, these errors represent not just mechanical mishaps, but rare snapshots of history. A fleeting accidental bridge between two different coinage eras. Point 1, particularly famous 1997. Wheat penny appeared at auction and stunned experts when it sold for over $5,000. Close examination revealed crisp wheat stalks, strong strike details, and the unmistakable 1997 date stamp, a numismatic paradox. Was it a deliberate test piece? Aumenta employé souvenir, or an overlooked die left in production? We may never know for sure, but the allure of such mysteries is what keeps collectors scouring their change, hoping to uncover another anomaly hidden in plain sight. And that's just one example of how the Lincoln Wheat Penny series continues to surprise even seasoned collectors. Double die obverse errors, for instance, have long fascinated the numismatic world. Perhaps the most famous double die penny is the 1955, where a dramatic doubling of the date and lettering created a coin that is instantly recognizable and highly coveted. But other, subtler double dies exist too, including some rare wheat pennies from the 1990s where the doubling is faint but undeniable under magnification. These errors occur when the coin die itself was improperly hubbed, impressing a doubled image into every blank planchet it struck. Imagine the rush of discovery when a sharp-eyed collector notices the split serifs and ghostly outlines of letters on what seems at first to be a routine cent. Suddenly, that penny is worth hundreds or even thousands at To truly appreciate why these mistakes carry such value, you have to step into the history of the U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and imagine the frenetic pace of coin production, with millions of blanks being struck each day. Occasionally, blank planchets intended for one denomination end up in the press for another, producing off-metal errors. A few wheat pennies are known to have been struck on dime planchets, appearing undersized and lighter in weight. These are called wrong planchet errors, and they're among the most dramatic finds a collector can hope for. A penny that's clearly not quite a penny. Proof versions of the Lincoln wheat cent also hold a certain allure. From 1909 to 1916, proofs were struck at the Philadelphia Mint with incredible care, their polished dies and planchets producing mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details. For collectors, owning one of these early proof wheat pennies is like holding a tiny work of art, and their value at auction reflects that rarity and beauty. In recent years, a pristine 1909 VDB proof cent sold for more than $30,000, its designer's initials, VDB for Victor David Brenner. prominently displayed on the reverse wheat stalks, just as they were intended before controversy over self-promotion led to their removal. The collector community is full of stories of life-changing discoveries. In one such tale, a man sorting through his late grandfather's coffee can of coins stumbled across what he thought was a simple 1944 wheat penny. But something about it seemed off. The color wasn't quite right. Tests revealed it had been struck on a steel planchet left over from 1943, when wartime shortages forced the mint to make pennies out of zinc-coated steel instead of copper. That transitional error penny sold for over $100,000. And it's not just old coins that hold surprises. The wheat reverse design was officially retired in 1958, but minting mistakes can and do happen decades later, as with our earlier example, the 1997 D wheat penny. These unexpected relics offer a poignant reminder that even in an age of precision engineering, human error, or perhaps human mischief, can create something extraordinary. Even the most ordinary-looking penny can hide treasures invisible to the naked eye. That's why experienced numismatists often recommend examining pennies under magnification, looking closely at the date, the mint mark, and the design details for signs of doubling, misalignments, or even a reverse that shouldn't belong. Checking weight and dimensions can also reveal off-metal strikes that otherwise look deceptively normal. As the saying goes in the hobby, every coin has a story, if you take the time to listen. Auction houses regularly feature wheat pennies among their headline lots, proving that demand for these coins remains strong. Just last year, a dramatic double-die obverse wheat penny crossed the block at Heritage Auctions, fetching $12,000 from an eager collector. Another wrong planchet error penny, a wheat design struck on a silver dime blank, sold for nearly $18,000. These stories fuel the imaginations of both veteran collectors and newcomers, who hope to stumble upon the next rare specimen in their pocket change or heirloom collections. But there's also a deep nostalgia to the Lincoln wheat penny. For many Americans, it evokes childhood memories of hunting through rolls of pennies, searching for elusive key dates like the 1909 SVDB or the 1914 D. Those rare early dates still command impressive prices today. The 1909 SVDB regularly sells for thousands, even in modest condition, and pristine specimens can climb well into five figures. But now we know that even newer dates, like the surprising 1997 D with its wheat reverse, can also carry unexpected value. For seasoned collectors, finding a rare wheat penny is about more than just monetary value. It's about holding a tangible piece of American history, a sliver of time preserved in metal. Each tiny error tells a story of the mint's evolving technology, of workers rushing to meet production quotas, of dies wearing down or being mismatched in the chaos of the floor. And for everyday viewers, it's a reminder that sometimes the things we overlook, the change at the bottom of our purse, the dusty jar on the kitchen counter, may hide something precious that, the next time you come across a penny, don't dismiss it as worthless. Take a moment to look at the date, feel its weight, study its reverse. Check for doubling, inspect the mint mark. Because among the billions of ordinary cents, there are always a few that stand out. Rare treasures just waiting to be discovered by someone who cares enough to notice that if you have old coin rolls or jars of change lying around, now is the perfect time to go through them. Grab a magnifying glass, pull up some reference guides, and see what stories your pennies have to tell. You might just uncover a piece of numismatic history, and maybe even a little fortune hiding in plain sight. Happy hunting! What if the smallest coin in your pocket was actually worth thousands of dollars? What if a penny you glanced at and dismissed without a second thought, like a 1998 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, was secretly a rare numismatic treasure, born from a hidden error, a wrong planchet, or a fascinating transitional anomaly? Tonight, we'll peel back the layers of one of America's most beloved and overlooked coins, the Lincoln cent, and discover how even an ordinary-looking penny can hold an extraordinary story of history, rarity, and value beyond imagination. It all begins with a curious anomaly, a wheat penny dated 1998. By then, the familiar Lincoln wheat design had been retired for 40 years. In 1959, the mint replaced the wheat ears on the reverse with the Lincoln Memorial to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Yet, against all logic, a handful of wheatback pennies dated 1998 have surfaced. How could this be? How could a design long gone return to circulation? The answer lies in the fascinating chaos of coin production, where outdated dies sometimes re-emerge, or mint employees accidentally, or even deliberately, pair the wrong dies with modern planchets. These rare mistakes are called transitional errors. And to collectors, their gold point one such 1998 wheat penny appeared at auction several years ago and caused a stir. Not only did it bear the correct obverse, Lincoln's stoic profile with a 1998 date, but the reverse unmistakably displayed the iconic wheat ears. Experts scrutinized it for signs of tampering, but found none. The strike was authentic, the surfaces consistent with mint production, and the details sharp. Bidders, recognizing its rarity, drove the price up to several $1,000s. For a coin originally worth a single cent, this kind of auction record is staggering, and yet completely justified in the eyes of those who understand how rare these transitional pieces truly are. To understand why such coins are so coveted, you need to appreciate the history of the Lincoln cent itself. When it debuted in 1909, it marked a revolution in American coinage. This was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, Abraham Lincoln, breaking with the tradition of symbolic figures like Liberty. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse bore Lincoln's familiar portrait, while the reverse showed two elegant wheat stalks flanking the denomination. It became an instant classic, and for nearly 50 years, those wheat-backed pennies became an everyday part of American life. They jingled in the pockets of soldiers heading to war, children saving up for candy, and families stretching every penny through the Great Depression. But even during their original run, the wheat pennies saw fascinating variations and errors. In 1955, for example, a dramatic double-die obverse was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The doubling on the date and lettering was so pronounced it could be seen without a magnifying glass. Though technically an error, it became one of the most famous and desirable coins of the 20th century. Today, even a worn example of the 1955 double-die wheat penny can fetch over $1,000. In pristine condition, the prices soar even higher. And that same type of doubling, though sometimes more subtle, appears on later coins as well, including rare wheat pennies struck after 1990 due to misalignments in the die hubbing process. Errors come in many forms, each with its own allure to collectors. Wrong planchet errors, for example, occur when a blank disc of metal meant for one denomination gets struck with dies intended for another. In one memorable case, a Lincoln wheat penny was struck on a dime planchet, making it lighter and slightly smaller than normal. Such coins often sell for thousands of dollars because they are such obvious, yet fascinating, mistakes. Other errors include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads beyond its normal diameter, and even clipped planchets, where a small crescent of metal is missing due to a misfeed in the blanking press. Proof versions of the wheat penny are another story entirely, and they too can bring surprising prices. Between 1909 and 1916, the Philadelphia Mint struck proof wheat cents with remarkable care, producing deeply mirrored surfaces and razor-sharp details. Because these proofs were made in small quantities for collectors and dignitaries, they are extremely scarce today. A 1909 VB proof wheat penny, bearing Brenner's initials prominently on the reverse, is particularly prized. One of these coins in superb condition brought nearly $30,000 at auction, demonstrating just how much value collectors place on rarity, condition, and historical significance. There are also tales of discovery that inspire everyday people to look closer at their change. A man sorting through his father's coin collection in the Midwest once found what he thought was a plain 1944 wheat penny. But the color seemed wrong, and he was right to wonder. Tests showed it had been struck on a steel planchet left over from 1943, when wartime copper shortages forced the mint to use zinc-coated steel. That rare transitional error sold for over $100,000 at auction, a life-changing amount discovered in an old jar of coins. Even in the era of the Lincoln Memorial and later designs, the wheat reverse occasionally resurfaces through mint errors. The mysterious 1998 wheat penny is a perfect example. Experts still debate whether it was an accidental use of an old die or a deliberate act by a mint worker. But regardless of intent, its existence reminds us that even in modern times, old designs can reappear, sparking excitement and fierce bidding. For collectors, that unpredictability is part of the magic of numismatics. You never know what rare anomaly might emerge from an otherwise ordinary batch. The culture of wheat penny collecting is steeped in nostalgia. For many, the sight of those graceful wheat stalks brings back memories of childhood coin hunts, poring over rolls from the bank, try to fill those blue Whitman folders with every date and mint mark. Some still chase the elusive key dates like the 1909 SVDB and the 1914 D, both of which regularly sell for thousands in decent condition. The joy of discovery, of holding a tiny, copper-colored slice of history, hasn't faded even in the era of digital everything. Auction records prove that the market for rare wheat pennies is alive and well. At a Heritage Auctions event last year, a double-die obverse wheat penny realized over $12,000. Another off-metal error, a wheat penny struck on a dime planchet, sold for nearly $18,000. And those remarkable 1998 wheat pennies, when they appear, continue to command strong prices as collectors compete to own a piece of numismatic mystery. It's worth remembering that every coin tells a story, if you're willing to look closely enough. The 1998 wheat penny tells a story of transition and anomaly, of an old design sneaking into a new era. The double-die pennies tell a story of misaligned hubs and the human element in an industrial process. The wrong planchet pennies tell a story of how easily one blank can end up in the wrong press. And every wheat penny, no matter how common, tells the story of America itself, of the people who used them, saved them, and passed them along. For anyone watching this who has a jar of old pennies tucked away in a closet or basement, tonight's story should be more than just interesting trivia. This should be a call to action. Pull out those jars, spread the pennies across a table, and start looking. Grab a magnifying glass, check the dates, study the mint marks, and pay attention to the reverse design. You never know what you might find: a double die, a wrong planchet, a wheat reverse where it shouldn't be. That kind of discovery could turn an old penny into a thrilling piece of history, and perhaps even a small fortune. For the seasoned collector, these stories are a reminder of why we fell in love with coins in the first place: the hunt, the mystery, the history in our hands. And for the everyday viewer, they're an invitation to see the extraordinary hiding in the ordinary. Because sometimes the most overlooked things in life are the ones with the richest stories to tell. The next time you feel a penny in your palm, don't just drop it into the nearest jar. Turn it over, really look at it. That little disc of copper might just carry with it a hidden history, a rare mistake, or a forgotten design, waiting for someone like you to notice. And who knows, that 1998 wheat penny in your pocket might be more than just spare change. It might be a treasure. Happy hunting. What if the penny you casually drop in a tip jar or leave buried in your car's cup holder was secretly worth thousands of dollars? What if a coin as ordinary looking as a 2017 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny carried a hidden story of rarity and history? A treasure hiding in plain sight because of a rare minting error, an unusual planchet, or a fascinating transitional anomaly. Tonight, we're taking you into the quiet but thrilling world of numismatics, where even a single copper penny can change everything you thought you knew about the change jingling in your pocket. That IT starts with a mystery. In recent years, collectors have reported finding wheat reverse pennies dated 2017. At first glance, it seems impossible. The wheat-back design was retired in 1958, replaced the following year with the Lincoln Memorial, and later, the Shield reverse. Yet here was a modern date paired with a classic design. How could a wheat penny exist in a year when the U.S. Mint hadn't produced one for nearly 60 years? The answer, as it so often is with rare coins, lies deep within the fascinating chaos of the minting process, where outdated dies, human error, and mechanical quirks sometimes come together to create something truly extraordinary. Point one such 2017 wheat penny was spotted in a dealer's showcase at a small coin show in Ohio. The dealer, thinking a novelty piece at first, handed it to a seasoned collector who almost dropped it in shock. The surfaces showed all the hallmarks of a genuine mint strike: sharp details, correct font, proper weight, and metal composition. Experts later authenticated the coin, determining it was struck by accident when an old wheat reverse die was paired with a 2017 obverse die, likely an overlooked relic that somehow got mounted on a press. This kind of mishap is called a transitional error, and in the tight-knit world of error coin collecting, such pieces are nothing short of legendary. it's easy to forget just how much history and care goes into even the smallest coins. The Lincoln cent debuted in 1909 to mark Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, making it the first U.S. coin to bear a real person's likeness. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse featured Lincoln's profile, while the reverse depicted two elegant wheat ears flanking the words 1 cent. Americans fell in love with the design, and it endured until 1958. Those wheat pennies became a part of daily life, passing through the hands of soldiers during 2 world wars, children saving for candy, and workers stretching every penny through the Great Depression. But even in their own time, wheat pennies were anything but uniform. Mint errors, however small, created a landscape of exciting and rare varieties. Take the 1955 double-die obverse wheat penny, a classic and famous example. Thanks to a misalignment of the dies during the hubbing process, the date and lettering on the obverse appear boldly doubled. It's dramatic enough to see with the naked eye, and collectors immediately recognized its uniqueness. Even in circulated condition, a 1955 double die can fetch thousands of dollars at auction, and in higher grades, the price climbs even higher. The doubling phenomenon isn't unique to the 1955 issue. Variants of double dies have appeared throughout the wheat cent series, and some collectors dedicate their entire focus to finding them. More subtle double dies are often overlooked, which is why it pays, sometimes literally, to check your pennies closely. A double die obverse on a coin as recent as 2017 would likely command incredible prices if found, because it demonstrates that even in the modern era, errors still happen. But doubling isn't the only error to watch for. Wrong planchet errors are another fascinating corner of the hobby. Sometimes a blank metal disc intended for one denomination slips into the striking chamber of another. Imagine a Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet, lighter, silver-colored, and just a touch smaller than usual. These mistakes happen rarely, but when they do, they result in coins that collectors clamor for, often paying thousands to own. A 2017 wheat penny struck on the wrong planchet would certainly be a one-of-a-kind treasure. Other errors are equally dramatic. Broad strikes, for example, occur when the retaining collar isn't properly engaged, causing the coin to spread out beyond its intended diameter, producing a flattened, oversized look. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing entirely, are another category collectors adore. Even clipped planchets, where a crescent of metal is missing because the blank was cut from a sheet at the edge, fetch premiums, especially when paired with the unusual wheatback design of a coin dated decades too late. Then there are proof coins, made with extraordinary care by the mint for collectors, not circulation. Proof wheat pennies from the early years, especially those made before 1917, are highly sought after for their mirrored surfaces and razor-sharp details. A proof 1909 VB penny, for example, can bring tens of thousands of dollars at auction, partly because it bears Victor David Brenner's controversial initials on the reverse. Initials that were removed later that same year due to public outcry over their prominence. The allure of rare wheat pennies isn't just about their errors or missteps, though. It's also about the nostalgia they evoke. Memories of hunting through pocket change as a child, filling little blue Whitman folders one slot at a time, and dreaming of someday finding the elusive 1909 SVDB or the 1914 D-key dates. Those dates remain the holy grail for many collectors, routinely commanding thousands of dollars in even modest condition. Auction houses continue to see strong results for rare and unusual wheat pennies. In a recent Heritage Auctions event, a remarkable off-metal wheat penny sold for over $18,000. Another, a near-perfect proof wheat cent from 1915, brought more than $30,000 thanks to its pristine surfaces and rarity. Even the mysterious 2017 wheat pennies that have emerged have drawn five-figure bids as collectors recognize their historical significance. There's also something undeniably cinematic about the journey of these coins. Each one tells a story, not just of the mint's process, but of America itself. The 2017 wheat penny that shocked collectors represents a bridge between the past and present, a callback to simpler times slipped into the modern world through a crack in the machinery. The 1955 double die speaks to the human fallibility behind our most industrial of processes. Even the humble 1943 steel penny, produced in wartime to save copper for bullets, speaks volumes about the nation's priorities during its darkest hours. For anyone watching who has a jar of pennies sitting somewhere, In a closet, on a shelf, or under the bed, tonight's story isn't just entertainment. It's a call to action. Go get that jar. Dump it out on the table. Grab a magnifying glass, a bright light, and start looking. Check the date. Check the reverse. Look for doubling on the letters and numbers. Feel the weight. Does it seem unusually light or heavy? Does it have the familiar copper red color or something different? The hunt itself is half the fun, and you never know. You might just uncover a piece of numismatic history that could change your life, or at the very least, add a thrilling chapter to your collection. For seasoned collectors, tonight is a reminder of why we started in the first place. The thrill of the chase, the wonder of holding history in your hands, and the quiet joy of sharing these discoveries with others. For casual viewers, tonight is an invitation to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to recognize that even something as small and humble as a penny can hold an incredible story waiting to be told. The next time you feel a penny in your palm, don't dismiss it. Turn it over. Study it. That tiny coin might carry with it a hidden story, a rare mistake, a forgotten design. And who knows? That 2017 wheat penny in your pocket could be more than just spare change. It could be a treasure. Check your change. Check your jars. Happy hunting. And may your next penny tell a story worth thousands.